So in some countries, such as St. Vincent and the Grenadines, salt picking is actually a big thing. And for those who doesn't, or for those who don't know, salt picking is also actually done in Jamaica. I didn't know that, but how viable is it? Where we got with us beside me, Damion Whyte. They call him Rooster, and he's a terrestrial biologist who has a special love for the environment. His achievements include being appointed as the youngest member of the Scientific Authority of Jamaica. Not for the first time, he's with us. From jumping into underground caves, wrestling with crocodiles, guiding baby turtles to the ocean, Damion, as an environmental officer at the UDC, apparently you can be described as our very own Steve Irwin. Morning, Virgin.
Morning.
Welcome. Where did it start with you? Before we go to what you've brought with us, where did it start with you?
Just start a normal country boy from Clarendon, you know. Love to have fun.
And you wanted to do what? Who is a terrestrial biologist?
Just so that a biologist that don't like the water. So basically we're on land. So
you don't like the water. Yeah. Why you wanted to do this? From how young did you decide that you wanted to do something like this?
Well, from I was small, you know, I used to go outside and grab the lizards. My mother told me she used to have a lovely garden with pretty flowers, and I, as a baby, used to go and pick it. Mommy, pretty flowers, so you know what happened to that garden. And I used to go out, grew up on a small farm. I grew up with pig, goat, and all of that. So I used to love the animals. So that's my neck of the woods.
So your job exactly, you do what?
Okay. So I have that 9-to-5 job that I work at the UDC as an environmental officer, which is like collect water samples, do some environmental survey. But on my other role at the university, I'm a PhD student. And that's where the terrestrial biologists come. So I go all over Jamaica, look for the interesting animals that we have. We have a lot of stuff that are only found there. Frogs, even the lizard that a lot of people don't like. We have a lot of. The galawas, which is only found in Jamaica. So we look for animals like that, see how they're doing, and try to make them become a bit more popular to the public, because everybody does see them want to kill them off.
When you say see how they're doing, that's you, by the way? That's you there?
Yep. That's me there, petting a little crocodile.
The man dead?
Well, if you want to call him dead, he was just there sleeping.
And that's you right here?
Yeah, we're doing some crocodile assessment, and that was me there, catch this crocodile and we're measuring it. So part of work that we do, we go into areas and see like how the crocodiles are doing. They're not so popular with everybody, but...
When you say how they're doing, what do you mean by how they're doing?
Okay, so for example, you say that you have crocodiles in Jamaica.
Right.
But the question you have to ask is, how much do we have? Do we have 10? Do we have 100? And the next thing is the population increasing, decreasing, how much males they have, how much females you have. What time during the year they nest. So we need all of that information to make a decision on areas to protect, can we move some here, and all of that. So we use a lot of numbers.
How much crocodile do we have?
That's a big question. We are trying to answer that now.
About how much?
Not too sure right now. I would say that the crocodile right now in Jamaica is listed as endangered, meaning that the number is decreasing.
About 100, 500, 10,
I would say
20.
I would say less than 1,000.
Less than 1,000.
Yeah, but that's just a guess. I wouldn't.
And they're all over the country, or just certain areas in the country?
Okay. I would say that there are certain areas that have high numbers, but they are distributed all over the country. But because of development and sometimes illegal poaching, the numbers are decreasing. Okay. So we have team from NEPA, like Trey and Ricardo Miller, that go out and they do surveys just to check to see what they're doing.
Yeah. Bring me to the salt now. What are we talking about here?
Okay. So some of my exploits, all right, when you're doing field work, you have to go around in the community and know the people. So this was one of my exploits in Portland Cottage, Jackson Bay, where I went out there a day and I would see people in this big pond. They take off their shoes and stuff. So I went out there and took off my shoes. And go out there and when I look, I see salt. And I was like, what? We do this in Jamaica?
What do you mean you see salt? Where?
Okay. So basically, down there you have this pond. So you have the seawater that wash in.
Right.
You have a little rain that fall, which is kind of shallow. After a time, the seawater dry up, leaving these crystals here. Yeah. So you have these big salt, and right there, you can touch it. This big crystal.
Yeah.
And then you have some of the other salt here, which is like what we call wet salt.
So this and this is not the same thing?
Well, if to taste, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
But some people like when you're doing your special gourmet salt. They like the big crystals, and some people like wet salt. So what they use this to do now, they put these in some big barrels, and then people come and buy it.
This is just like the regular salt we put in your food?
No, man. Well, here the next thing with the salt. Not really have a little flavor. So each pan have different microorganisms in it. And these microorganisms give the salt a distinct taste. So a certain gourmet chef might look at you and tell you, oh, add this for a certain dish. I'm not a gourmet chef, although I'm a great cook. But
so this can be eaten?
Yes, it can be eaten. And it's more expensive than your, what I say, counter salt in the blue and white bag. So they call this gourmet salt.
So where you get this?
I just went out there and pick it up. Roll up, as you can see the salt pan in there. Roll up my foot, oil it, put some Vaseline, and walk out there and we start picking up salt. So I was following the people. However, they tell you to do it early in the morning or late in the evening.
Why?
Sun would kill out there. Because I went out there midday and my foot was cooking. It was like you were in a brine walking out there, hot. So we pick up the salt like this, and you know who come and buy it now. So, all right, remember before a refrigerator come in, people used to need to preserve food. So all who love them canned pork, canned beef, canned fish, that's what them use. And for example, this kind of salt now, other than for gourmet, some of the goat farmers or pig farmers normally give their animals to lick the salt, forcing them to drink water and make them kind of, increase growth. And there are some people who want to get rid of some bad spirit out of the yard, so them sprinkle some salt. So it have many uses.
And the regular salt don't get rid of spirit?
Well, I don't know that, I won't say I have any experience in that.
So how many different kinds can we find there?
Okay, when I went out there, so when they were telling me about the different kinds there, they were grading them on the size of the crystal. So you have these big fancy cubes that I guess are the most expensive one because you have to get these perfect cubes. Go down to smaller onto the wet side. So when I was out there, I saw about 4 different types. And just remember, as I said, and you have different size of crystal and sometimes at least a different color. And the color is due to the organism that live in the pond. As I said, these organisms give flavor to it. So each pond can have a distinct flavor. I remember my supervisor, Dr. Gary from the Grenadines, told me that different ponds there have different flavor, and the chef could taste the salt and tell you, oh, it's from this pond.
So I could just go out there, take up some salt and go sell it?
Yeah. However, you have to know when you go out there, go take it up. You can't go during the rainy season.
So nobody has this under control like government ministry? This is just open to anybody?
It's just open to the local people. And I can tell you, it's better you go down there and take it from the local people because going in that pan with the heat and the brine and cook your foot, after I went out there and I show off to everybody, look at my salt. I could go down there and pass $100 and get a big bag. Although I felt good that I went out there and...
So it's called a salt pond?
It's called this is called sea salt. You have the wet and the big one, and it's a salt pond.
How many we have in Jamaica as far as you know?
Well, I know about the popular ones. The active ones that we have, you have the yellow pond. And sometimes there, when the salt kind of get a little bit red, the pond get red. So that's a good one. You have about 2 in Clarion, and you also had some in Trelawney.
It's quite interesting.
Yeah. I mean, when I went out there and saw people collecting it, I was like, what? We never know I had this in Jamaica.
You didn't know that?
No, I didn't. But this is what happens when you go out in the field now. When you go look for an animal, you meet the people, you meet the community. You might go to a 1 and 2 rum bar and you meet everybody and they tell you all of this stuff.
How much rum bar exactly? 1 or 2?
Maybe 2 or 3. I don't know.
This is very interesting to me. And it's also more interesting to find out that you can just go pick it up and do what you want to do.
Yeah, and I thought that when you pick it up, you have to wash and do all of that. Because salt is a preservative, not a lot of stuff mess around with it. So it's basically clean. Because that's what everybody have been asking me on social media. What do you do? Do you wash it? Do you purify it? And I was like, no, it's natural. It's a natural pond here, right? So this is one of my lovely exploits. So.
Fantastic. What's the strangest thing you were asked to do in your field?
Well, they have this thing with the crocodiles. When you take up a big crocodile, you're supposed to tell what sex the animal is, if it's a male or a female.
Yeah.
So in the old time days, before you had to put gloves on, and you had to, the Lizards have one opening, and when you go up there, you find what's there. There's a projection, there it's a male. So one of the craziest things I had to do at the time was after seeing a friend do it, and the crocodile passed some stuff on him, and I was like, Jesus, I'm not doing that, I'm not doing that. But after that, yeah, that was one of the strangest.
So you have to put your
Yeah, you have to push your hand up there to feel what's there. So if you feel something that's a male...
So that is the only way you can tell?
Yeah. Well, you can tell by size, you know. The males are a little bit bigger, but when you reach a certain size, they have something that it's called it, that you have to tell the sex. So you have to, the proper name, you have to sex the crocodile to tell the sex. Male or female. So that was one of the stuff that...
When last you did that?
For a long time, I haven't done that. You know, I leave it to the other people and the crew to do it. You know, what I should say, the more you get into the job, you know, you can't let the rookie come in and do that. No?
Well, with that, I have so much question about that, but I don't think I can ask you and smile. Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. This is interesting. This is very, very interesting. Didn't know anything about that. And if you are into it and you never know nothing about that, I don't feel bad that I didn't know.
No, when you go out in that's the thing, you know, when you go out in Jamaica, there's so much stuff you learn. And I mean, people send me all of this information on social media about their animals and stuff. And when you go out there, you see they're doing all kind of stuff. So it's always good to go in the community.
Yeah,
and
fantastic. I don't know if I went push my hand to find out anything in a crocodile. All right, Damion Whyte, terrestrial biologist on salt harvesting in Portland Cottage.